are live.
This is a new adventure.
It's a new adventure. And for everyone that's joining us right now, thanks. It's probably going to take a few minutes to get everyone logged in and just see, who shows up for our live stream. But it's a surreal time.
It's been a weird week.
Pivot for many of us. Stephanie, I'm using your word because I think
shift.
This whole thing is about pivot. Even the whole reason why we're doing this conversation tonight. And we are going to shift. We're shifting our conversation tonight. We're still going to be talking about the spirituality of work that we've been promoting over the last few weeks. But on account of Corona, which I've been saying a lot because it sounds good, on account of Corona, we are going to shift and speak about what's going on at the intro of this video. Yep. How are we all responding? What does it mean for us? Yep. And then as we get to the spirituality of work, anyone doing work is shifting too. So Stephanie's going to talk a little bit about that. But why don't you, Dawn, just introduce
our guest
Stephanie
for the evening.
And our guest.
So this is my friend Stephanie, and she is the owner of Forward Fitness, and it's a bar and fitness studio in Rancho Bernardo. And I just love,
for the non, Pilates mind over here when we hear it's
not a drinking bar.
It's not a drinking bar.
So there's no drinking there.
No drinking. Well,
sometimes.
Sometimes there's usually rosé in our fridge, actually.
Okay, there we go. Not that kind of bar.
No, like a ballet bar, but bar fitness.
A bar you put your legs up on.
Well,
sometimes.
I'm not going to try to explain this to you right now.
That's the wrong image.
Look them up online. There's pictures that'll help you if you're concerned right now. It's what? Stephanie,
I'm going to lose business now. Thanks, Ryan.
Anyways, okay. I'm going to let her explain it in her own words, but I invited her because as a client of Forward Fitness, I see what she does has this incredible value and kind of straddling for us this world of churchiness, religiousness, and non-religiousness, right? Which like the rest of the world just calls normal things, right? Everyday stuff. It's only the church that like talks about sacred and secular. The rest of us are just like life, right? I see her creating spaces that have so much value. And so that's why she's here to kind of talk about that. But do you want to tell us about Forward a little bit?
So Forward is in Rancho Bernardo. It's been over 8 years. And when I opened it, I just always had this vision of like it being more than just a, fitness studio. Like I really wanted like a space to like connect. And I'm from the Bay Area. I didn't have like a lot of connections. My husband's from Poway and lives there and grew up there. My family's all there. His whole family's there. But I envisioned this place where women would gather, connect, of course, move, but really support each other on this wellness journey. And always leave our doors feeling better, a better version, discovering a better version of themselves and ready to take on whatever lies ahead for their day in a better headspace.
That's right. And so we're going to dive into a lot of that in a little bit. But to start, we kind of just wanted to like address the elephant in the room. It's coronavirus.
Yeah.
Which I would appreciate if nobody like touches me.
We're not 6 feet because Cody didn't have a big enough couch for us to be sitting apart. But we did dramatically increase the numbers of this gathering by canceling our event and switching to online because we do want to keep people safe. And we do want to abide by the wisdom of smart and intelligent people.
Yeah. Way smarter than us.
But there is a lot of fear and an anxiety that's going on. And I'm sure we were talking earlier, we have so many stories about our experiences in the retail space right now regarding toilet paper. Fights are breaking out. It is a crazy time.
Mass hysteria,
respiratory illness, double ply toilet paper. It all makes sense. But we thank you for being with us. It is a strange time in our community now. And we want to also create a space during this time where there is fear, where there is anxiety, where there is upheaval of our normal everyday business, especially if you have kids and you're looking at the next 3 weeks. going, they have no school. How are we going to
Or
do this?
anywhere to be except my house.
Totally. We have to shift. We have to shift right
That's
now.
right. I have to take a big drink right now.
And
Ugh.
be together. And we also want to explore how can we remain connected during this time, where we believe that as the church, which is a community of faith, no matter where you at, no matter where you are at a certain hour on Sunday or during the week, that we are actually called to be a community of faith, hope, and love. And so how do we in this time remain a space of connecting people through faith, hope, and love? And we hope that this hour gives you some faith, hope, and you feel the love.
And you know what's interesting as a little backstory, it's only been in like the recent history that church was even really about gathering. Like, interestingly, the gathering on Sunday has come to define what the church is for most of our modern culture, but that's not really what it was. And so I'm kind of excited to see how this corona segregation actually brings people's faith to life and allows them in some ways, like the community of church is amazing, gathering is amazing, it's not about that, but it empowers people to find their voice in their faith. It allows people to find faith in interesting spaces. It allows people to own conversations about spirituality that maybe they wouldn't have ever felt comfortable owning, but now they don't have a choice. So I'm actually excited to see kind of what happens in our culture as a result of all of this, segregation. And
Totally. Over the last
isolation, that's a better word. Thank you. Not segregation.
Right.
Isolation.
The social separation.
Thank you. That's the official term.
Which is what our government is suggesting.
Distancing.
Right, Mom.
Social
I'm
distancing,
looking at
right?
you. You're 70 now. I know you're watching this. Social separation.
But we can remain connected during this time of social separation. And how do we do that? And over the last few days, it's been kind of exciting to think. Again, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. I immediately
Everything
jump
makes us excited.
to the positives. I see opportunity, and
Totally.
and I think the positives of the shutdown of the large gathering of the church can also be seen as a great release for the people to step up and take a pursuit of their faith on their own rather than outsourcing spiritual leadership in their family or amongst their friends to an organization. That as we step out and as we go, I think of Joe Jones. He sent me a message today because we asked about how are you guys dealing with this blank canvas of a Sunday to go meet with God and to go out as a family. To what are you doing during this time? God has essentially said, hey, come play with me. What are we going to do? Right. And one of our friends, Joe Jones, they went out and his family played with goats. Because fortunately from the CDC right now, there's no separation
Goats
from
are fine.
But they went out.
Where is this at?
I don't know. I don't know where the goats are. Joe, if you're chiming in and watching now, please tell us where the goats are. We'll get the word out. But it was such a creative way for him to go, hey, family, we're gonna go out and we're gonna see God's creation. We're gonna talk about how God did all of this around us. We're gonna have fun with goats. Right?
We did a family hike. We did 3 miles, Ramona Grasslands, and it was, I was saying, like the first time my kids did not ask for snacks, and it was just a beautiful day. But
It was a miracle.
yeah, it's beautiful.
God is real after all.
Right? No snacks, no snacks. One accident, but yeah.
Other than that, what more could you ask for?
I was telling you earlier, we were in Kit Carson Park today in Escondido, and I have to tell you, there were more people there than we have regularly seen. So many families, so many people out jogging. It was multi-generational. It was awesome. And honestly, everyone was really kind on the trails. And our kids were out riding and everyone was like, hello, how you doing? Happy Sunday.
Yeah.
And of course, there was the social distancing was natural,
Yeah.
on large trails and in
You
the
don't want to
park.
get too close to people
But
to
there
alarm
was
them.
there was great community, and what I saw was a release of people to break from perhaps habit and norms, which I think is
And
the positive of this.
Obligation, right? We were
Yeah.
talking about some of the
Oh, right.
obligation of religious institution, right? Like there's that part of us that loves going to church, and there's that part of us that like feels guilty if we don't go to church, if anybody identifies with that.
Mhm.
And right now you're like like you don't have a choice. You can't go to church.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
there's no guilt. It's like, okay, what am I going to do? And today I actually went to Forward and worked out, and it was an amazing experience, like to be able to move and then to hear Erin share her meditation about how to find kind of peace and balance in a chaotic time. Like
That's good.
it was everything that I
Yeah.
needed, and I think there is a great opportunity right now. Again, I'm a 7, so I do get excited, but
You're a 7 too?
yeah, we're
Is that
both
the
7s.
enthusiast?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
To not be able to go to church and instead find ways to live out these things that we have been hearing about
Mhm.
in really practical ways, right? Like, what does it mean to live generously in a time of scarcity? What does it mean to be kind when the last roll of toilet paper is on the line,
Yeah.
right? How do we have eyes for the other? How do we look out for people that might be in need in our neighborhood, maybe right across the street, right? Like, what do we actually get to live into? And I think the call for anybody that is a Jesus follower right now is to say, like, do the things, right? We could actually do the things instead of just listening to the things. We get to live this out, and it's pretty exciting to think about what might happen as a result of all of that living it out.
That makes me think of Anthony Idol. I told you guys of Anthony Idol earlier. Shout out to Anthony Idol, San Diego pro wrestler. This is how it ties in. On a typical Sunday morning, he would probably not be regularly posting about knocking on neighbors' doors and asking if they need anything. But Anthony Idol, this huge man, if you look him up right now, he's got the glasses, Idol, gold chains. His arms are thicker than both my legs together. The guy's massive, right? And if he showed up at your doorstep knocking, you would probably be scared to death. But the fact is that because of this great upheaval, this pivot, and everything that's going on, he was sparked to write a note about go and knock on the doors, even of the neighbors that you haven't met, that you haven't even had time to ever connect with, and ask them if they need anything. And it's
Yeah.
funny imagining Anthony Idol doing that. But this upheaval is the opportunity to live out our best intentions, because many of us have now been freed from schedules
That's right.
that our schedules kept us from living up to our best intentions. And now there's an openness there.
Yes.
So may we live into that before we busy ourselves with all the things to do that are going
That's
to
right.
come sweeping back soon.
And Stephanie, I wanted to ask you specifically, because we were talking a little bit earlier about how for some of us, social distancing might be easy. Maybe we work a job that is easily done remotely, or our employers are being super generous and they're offering payment during the kind of this break or whatever. But social distancing in some ways is kind of a privilege, right? Some of us might work jobs that social distancing isn't an option. We might not get a paycheck if we can't do our job. And that's a very real and potentially scary thing that a lot of people are facing right now, and especially small businesses. So as a small business owner, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on one of the ways that we might be able to like live out this spirituality is by supporting our small businesses. And what might that look like, or how can we have our eyes open to the very real concerns of small business owners right now?
How to support small businesses?
Yeah.
Oh goodness. I mean, yeah, it's a real thing, because I went and even got like I got my nails done, my hair done, and they were all sharing their anxiety and their fear. Like they've she's like, I usually have 10 clients by 10 a.m. and she's like, it's 5 p.m. and I've had 10 clients today. Like, this is the nail salon, And she said they have no rent. What's it called? Rent. Like cut. Like, what is it called?
Overhead.
Oh.
They're not reducing the rent for them. Like, because I think
For
some landlords are doing that
for
yet.
the
Like, our
business.
landlord hasn't said anything yet either.
Right.
But I think that's like a big discussion that's going on right now for a lot of
Yes.
small
Bills are
businesses.
still there,
Yeah,
the
the bills are still
clients
there,
are
the
just
payroll,
real.
and you have your rent and all the fixed, So it's a concern, and it can like overwhelm me sometimes. And then I like read this quote the other day. It was like on Tiny Buddha, which I love. But it was just like, you can choose how to respond, and like I can like, it'll come in sometimes. It's like waves of like fear and anxiety, I'll be honest. But yeah, I'm trying to choose to be positive and just, be, how do I give service to my clients? Like, how do I, in this time where like people need to, it's not just a place to exercise and move. It is a place to relieve stress, to gain strength, mental clarity, sanity for me always.
Yes.
And so how do I deliver that in these times, but that's going back to the pivot now of like, I haven't really shared this, but we're going to do more, online virtual stuff in the coming days so that people can still find that sense of community and connection, but, with distance.
That's right. So what are some like practical ways that you can think of that normal people that often frequent small businesses and maybe don't even think about it, right? Like you brought up the nail salon. I didn't even think about nail salon as a small business, but what can we do to support maybe some of our favorite small businesses right now?
I saw a post and it was like, people can either do like gift cards, like restaurants and things like that is what I read. But it was also just even like giving them a shout out on social media, just showing that you care and you're like, I received a couple of cute, like amazing, very hard. I like literally cried. I was actually at the nail salon. Renee, actually my studio manager, sent it to me. And I'm like getting my nails done and I like start crying because it's like this beautiful message. And it's this client of mine that's just like, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to be coming to your classes, even though we've reduced capacity for 50%. And she's like, but I just want you to know that I'm not canceling my membership. And I really want to support all the small businesses. And if you have any other ideas on how to support other small businesses, let me know. And I'm just reading this and then looking at my nails done. And I like start crying. And she's looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just got this awesome message. And it was the owner of her nail salon. So we're just sharing that it's like, yeah, it's really hard, scary times. But I was like, one day at a time, one step at a time, But there is like, I think gift cards, social media, I don't know. But we're there too. Like to me, my head is like, how do I support you guys? Like, like I'm trying to think of like I have 2 kids too. So I'm like, just 3 hours yesterday or just one day yesterday. And my husband was there with half the day. I was like charcoal masks. We did puzzles. We read books. And I'm like, I ordered a Nintendo Switch. I invested. I was like, I need to buy it. I'm like, I need to buy it. I need to buy it. I need to buy dance stands.
I don't know about you other parents out there. It was the longest day ever. I don't know if like the kids just knew like there's something different happening. All of us were scared for like the next 3 weeks because of yesterday. Oh my goodness.
It was the longest day.
It was the longest day.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah, we did. One day at a time.
Right.
One glass of wine at a time.
That's right. So I think even maybe something to be mindful of as all of us experience some level of concern or anxiety around everything that's happening is just to remember like the ramifications. Like sometimes when things like this happen, it becomes very easy to become navel gazers, right? We're like, how is this impacting me personally right now, and to look up even and to be
shift
like,
the focus.
Yeah, how is this impacting my friend that owns a small business? How is this impacting the cashiers at Trader Joe's? Like just have an extra level of kindness and compassion right now because everybody's dealing with their own stuff. And on top of that,
and also not judging, I think too, like to me with the studio, when I had to cut, I was like, I need to be proactive and like cut the capacity because I think, well, everyone has a different comfort level. Some people are like, oh, I'm fine. Let's just work out. And then I can tell others are like very fearful, like don't touch me, stay away, don't hug, and I'm such a huggy person too. So I'm like, always like, oh, it's awkward. Okay. But I just think but you don't want to judge, and I am not here to judge what other people's comfort level is. So that's why we're doing the online classes, offering the reduced capacity we have in, last few days. And
that's right.
But just the compassion piece,
Absolutely. Well, one thing that is, you have a thought?
Oh, no. We just want to say, we haven't checked in with Cody.
Oh, yeah, that's
true. We want
to
be telling anyone who's watching right now, we want to be saying that we want to actively respond to any comments or questions that you send in. And Cody is behind the camera. I would tweak it right now, but it would mess up everything if you could see
Give Cody a heart attack.
our little techie guy back there. He's going to win.
There's
Cody's hand.
His awkward
Um,
little hand.
And we just want to say that feel free to chime in, ask questions.
Yeah.
And
Share
we
what
want-
you did this Sunday morning.
Oh, exactly. We would love to hear about that. And we would also love to hear about any stories you have regarding anything we're talking about, because the more we interact, the less socially disconnected this even cyberspace can be. So
Mhm.
we welcome all of that during this time as we chat away. Sorry, Don. So
Yeah,
I
no, that's
totally
okay.
threw you off. And
No, I was
I think
just
that's actually
gonna.
one of the beauties of social media.
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
there's a lot of like negative talk about social media. And to me, I'm like, what a beautiful space where you can actually like share, instead of showing empty shelves at Target, which can cause more anxiety in people, it's like spread the kindness. And there's actually this hashtag that's like COVID kindness. Have you guys seen it?
No.
And watch it. It's like, or look it up on the hashtag. But what other people are doing to spread kindness in the community.
Yeah.
You know?
And I
Good
know
Lord, that's awesome.
Yeah.
two of our friends, actually, I'm going to look it up so I don't get it wrong, but Judy Barrett at Life Redefined by Judy and Laura Haver have started a hashtag and like a whole project. I think it's called We Write the
that.
Story. Hang on, I'm going to look it up really quick. And it's about how you can engage your kids in kindness and actively like reaching beyond yourselves during the season. It's called We Write the Story 2020. And it's about
That's good.
basically how do we own this narrative, and we can be writing letters of kindness and generosity to people that might need it, and writing letters to one another, and sharing that on social media.
Yeah.
So that's another great one to connect with. Rewrite the Story 2020. Those are two of our good
That's
friends.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Good job, friends.
Good job,
You're awesome. I'm
girls.
excited to chime in on that with the boys over the next couple of weeks. And
Totally.
get creative,
Yeah.
cool things to do.
That's right. So the thing is that all of this conversation actually weaves beautifully into what we initially anticipated talking
Right.
about, which is this idea of faith and works. And there's nothing that makes us reevaluate so much of what is going on in our lives, like a pandemic. And so I think this still actually is super applicable, and it's why we asked Stephanie to be here. And so again, to kind of recap where we want to go with the rest of this conversation is there has tended in our culture to be a separation, right? There's this understanding of some people that what happens at a place of religious worship is sacred. So volunteering my time there, going to Bible study there, sending my kids to CCD or children's group or whatever it is, those are the things that are sacred. And if I'm not participating in those things, the rest of my life is lacking holy sacredness, right? And at Uncommon Good, we actually very much disagree with that belief. And part of what we do is to confront some of these places where we think church, culture, history has gotten some of these things wrong. And this faith works, sacred, secular divide is kind of where we wanted to step into tonight.
So many, ourselves included, but so many of our friends too have felt over the years that church or religious institutions or faith institutions have become irrelevant to them or even damaging to their
Right.
lives. And part of the reasons why is because they felt like they had to balance or keep up a half and half equation in their life of this is spiritual, this is everyday. And I had to check the boxes of attendance and involvement and
Right.
programming within the church or within the whatever faith background they're a part of.
To meet my spiritual markers.
Right. So at least we're running 50-50. And
Right.
if you're above 50-50 in the spiritual
You probably
markers,
work at a church.
absolutely. And if you didn't see it that way, I know I grew up in a youth group context where, gosh, the spiritual heroes, wow, they became missionaries, right? Or the spiritual heroes, they dropped it all and they became pastors, right? And those were the two marks. Everyone else was like, I can be used in the kingdom of God, but I'm not wearing, I'm not up there, right?
And there was this kind of this understanding that I would probably, if I was actually a good enough person to be truly spiritual and like go into a vocation of spiritualness, it's probably awful. And I will probably hate every minute of it because it looks like a very specific thing that sounds terrible.
I remember as a teen, I'm like, look, I love Jesus. I don't want to be a missionary
Totally.
nor a monk.
Right.
And I I had a fear of the missionary or monk. I didn't ever feel called to be a nun.
You didn't feel called to be a nun?
I never did that. But here's what it was. And somewhere along the way, whether it was intended or it was just a byproduct of the way spirituality was taught, life was compartmentalized. And within the church, it was compartmentalized as this is spiritual, this is not.
Right.
What we have wanted to confront.
And it's so timely right now.
It's so timely. When you begin this relationship with God, and as you read Jesus's words, where he was inviting you into a unity with the Creator, a unity with God, Jesus said, "Follow me." And from that point on, everything was then spiritual. As you followed God incarnate in Jesus into the every day, everything you then did, every step you take, every encounter with every other human, even nature, became spiritual because you were then walking with God in everything that you did. Paul talks about in Colossians, says, whatever you do, do it with all of your heart, as if you're serving God, not a human. And there is no compartmentalization of that. Mm-hmm. No job is more spiritual than another. Mm-hmm. And yet we can have that concept. So what is it then for Christians to now be released to see that every interaction with another human who's created in the image of God is a spiritual moment. Mm-hmm. And it's no less spiritual than sitting in a chair on Sunday, going to a small group or
taking your kids to kids programming,
yeah.
Or becoming a missionary. And I want to say this,
or the monk, or the nun,
or becoming a nun.
Which are all good things.
All good things, just not for me. I want to say this too. If you're watching and like God, Jesus language makes you uncomfortable, we easily transpose that language to say spiritual other, like a higher power, love with a capital L, the universe at work. Like we tend to think that all of those are synonymous as really one thing, right? And so you could translate that to say, like, as you sense this higher power at work in your life and you try to live out principles that you think are aligned with that, that is you kind of doing this work of following after Jesus is what we would say. And we're comfortable and invite you into the conversation wherever you are on that path. And even if you're like, yeah, I've never had that experience at all, I have never felt called to a higher power, you're still invited into this conversation. We think that there's value for you.
Our dream is that this be a space for everyone across their spiritual journey background. Wherever you are at on the spectrum, I think everyone is created to have a relationship with the Creator. And I can have that faith for you, and that's fine. But therefore, everything we do, no matter what we believe, is then spiritual and has that element.
And I would even say that we believe that even if you don't believe in God, you don't believe in a higher power, you aren't sure about this Jesus character, we still think that what you do has meaning and value and can be considered sacred on a grand scale, even if you don't know how that puzzle piece fits into your life right now.
I was told once from a great leader that God believes more in you than you do in yourself. And even when you do not believe in God, God still believes in you. Mm-hmm. And that may be the place of some of our listeners. And yet some of our listeners are way down the journey of a committed daily pursuit of walking with God in their life. And all of that is spiritual across the board.
So Cody, but we're going to do another check-in with you before we transition to really interviewing Stephanie about some of this stuff. Is there anything we should respond to?
Well, people are just commenting Kara is talking about lesson planning with her kids and stuff. And
Nice.
Oh,
that's
good.
and, maybe a little crazy. And
Yeah.
Megan actually says, I think this time we are in such a good time to witness the spiritual all around us. In
Yes.
connection, in service without church walls.
Love it.
So
That's
good.
great, Megan. Absolutely. So I think this is a perfect segue to ask you a little bit. Would you just share with us kind of your spiritual background and what that used to look like and what that looks like for you now?
Yeah. I grew up Catholic, and I went to CCD. I didn't get confirmed, but then I remember like in middle school, I went to like a Presbyterian church and we did like youth group, and that was like a big thing in like middle school and high school. And then I just did not do any church in college or post college, and I honestly never really connected with the Catholic religion.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when we got married, I remember it was like a big discussion for my husband and I because he grew up Catholic too. And
microphone.
microphone.
You talk with your hands just like Ryan does. So it's fine.
When I teach class, it's my hands. Okay, so where was I at?
It was a big discussion for you and Mike.
When we got married, it was just a big discussion because it was like, you know, no, you should get married in a Catholic church, and there was like some family, like, you know, giving their opinions, and we're like,
no, family gives their opinion on things,
right? And hi, my mother-in-law's here. Just kidding. But we, you know, it just wasn't important to us. And I never really connected with the religion. I've always been, I would say, like a spiritual person. I'm really into self-growth and like learning. And even more lately, a lot, like I've been doing like energy healing and Reiki, and they call on my angels and my spirit guides. And it's been like the last few months, it's been really, I think since October, I started doing a couple things. When I went to Sedona, I did like an intuitive healer, and anyways, but I like love all that stuff. I love all learning, and I definitely think there's this like higher being. Do I know the Bible or like, no, like my husband will, hey, yeah, like we did Church of Our Bee today, the online. That was our first time doing that.
Nice.
And it was awesome. And like Rosanna heard and Jared and like, but we did it in our pajamas. I had breakfast and my cup of coffee, and it was my first time doing the live stream. I've never done it, but I've been, all our friends go there, and I've heard really great things, and like that you always leave with a positive message and you learn something. And I'm like, okay, I like love that. Like because every time I do, no offense, like I just don't learn. It doesn't connect I don't connect with Catholic church.
Yeah.
And anyways, it was great. I loved it today. And it's definitely something I would do again. I want to bring more of that into my life for sure.
So when you say that you consider yourself a spiritual person, you touched a little bit on that, but what does that really mean for you?
I don't know. I guess just committed to being a better person and serving my community better.
Okay. Love it. So kind of if I can put a few pieces together, it sounds like what you're saying is there's an understanding that there's something bigger than you out there, right? That you are not the end of everything, right? And so when we make decisions or we're making plans, it's not just in isolation. Like there's this larger community, there's this larger ethos, there's this larger spirituality out there that kind of we have to align with. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that's awesome. That's really great back history. And then I would love for you to share a little bit, you did in the beginning, but if you would just share what are your values when it comes to Forward as a business? What are some of the things that guide you, some of the ideas, the vision, the values that guide you in making Forward into a business?
I think before any decisions, I'm like, I want everyone to feel valued. I want everyone to feel cared for, seen, like a sense of belonging. Like I never want someone to walk the doors and feel like this is not for me or like I don't belong here. Like I want everyone matters.
Yes. I think that for sure stands out to me when I think of what it feels like to be in Forward is it is not a space of judgment. There is a space, the sense is like you can belong here, right? And in some ways it's the extending of the invitation to belong, and then people have to choose, like, do I belong? Do I want to belong here? But the invitation is open to everybody.
Yeah.
No matter of your fitness level, right? Because it's a fitness studio, your fitness level, your body type, your whatever it is that
Totally.
sometimes makes you feel left out of certain fitness circles,
Yeah.
like that doesn't exist at Forward.
I hope it. Yeah. I mean, that was like the idea behind your path, your pace is that everyone is on a different part of their journey. Some people are here, some in the middle, and wherever you're at, I want you to feel like you belong. Like, I don't want you to ever feel like, I'm feeling the feeling of judgment. Like, I'm so sensitive to that. So I purposely am like, oh, I never want someone to feel that way because I'm a 3 and I'm like the fear of judgment and not valued is huge for me. So I feel like I find that anything I do, I'm like, that's, one of those guys. Like,
that's a hot button issue
for me
you.
for 3,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. So you said you wanted to create a space where people feel like they belong.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you value? Do you consider like at the core of what Forward is?
What else at the core? I mean, it's a space to, the connection piece and the community piece are huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whenever we feel supported and connected, I think we go so much further.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's become a family. Like, I mean, I just think of all the texts I've been getting from like people, it's just a reminder. And I send a text message, like Roshni's probably not following, but just like a lot of the messages, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like, they're just thanking me for staying open or whatever, whatever choices you make, like we support you. And I'm like, God, these people are taking their time to write me is like what I keep thinking, that's so nice. I'm like, on this crazy chaotic day, people are taking the time to write me. And it's beautiful, but it's like, Craig, but it's like family, they're family,
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what I see from afar.
You don't work out at Forward?
I don't work out at Forward Fitness. And
There are men there.
I know there are men there. I know it's open to that.
I worked out at the
Spanky,
Do you know Spanky?
I know him. Well,
He's awesome.
I assume
I
it's the
know
same
him.
Spanky.
There's
There's
probably
not a
one
live
Spanky,
named
I know.
Spanky, and I hope you are listening right now. I miss you, dude. So. Anyways, I'll tell you what I see from afar about you, and we've been telling you this for a long time. That what you are doing is far more than a fitness studio. And I think when we think about the fitness studios, that in my circles, people are thinking more like the 24-hour fitness, like everything that's exercise based out there is we are deeply caring about your physical being, right? And we see where we're at physically, who we want to be physically fit, health-wise, in the body, and then we go to a studio.
Yeah.
From the very moment that we met you, we knew that it was so much more than the physical. That you are so concerned when we hear you talk about belonging and about people feeling part of a community, that the physical is only one element of our beings. We're holistic, right?
Yeah.
We have the physical, but we also have the mental, emotional, and spiritual. And you can't sit down with a conversation with you and not hear about caring for the other dimensions of our humanity beyond the physical. And I have to tell you that is a divine calling in you. And I think sometimes that we are already about God's business before we ever wake up to the fact, and it's like an awakening, and we go, wow, God, you had me doing this all along.
Yeah.
And now I see the spiritual value in it, something I've been doing for years that perhaps I didn't realize was so deeply connected to the God mission in life.
Yeah.
I think the God mission is creating a place for people to see that at their deepest part of being, God created them wonderfully and beautifully and wants to be in relationship with them. And part of that is not just the spiritual connection, but a physical health that allows them to live life and love life.
Yeah.
And all of that is so tied in. And I see so much deep value in what you do and your heart for others, which again is just so divine, is so God driven.
Thank you. I see it in you guys too. No touching. Sorry.
It's like that is a wonderful thing. And again, as we're a part of God business in this world, sometimes we are closer to understanding it and seeing it, and sometimes we're further from understanding
Wherever you are in the path, right?
wherever you are on the path.
Yeah.
And yet God is smiling, going, I'm already doing this with you. Right. Yeah. And I thank you for your service to our community and what you're doing to really create another space of family in our community when we are in a socially disconnected world with technology and busyness. You have created an alternative family for so many people, which is so deeply valuable.
So
And we
thank
want to
you.
thank you for that. For
Yeah.
doing
Thank
that.
you.
And what I
Thank you.
love and where like those two things intersect is that you probably, and I asked you this before, like would not say that you would consider your work sacred, right? Like how would
No, I wouldn't
you
use that word.
how would you define
Right.
your work? Like what are kind of like some of your daily activities? You run a fitness studio and you have all these amazing values that you try to bring to life in a physical space. But what do your daily tasks involve?
Besides texting you a lot.
Yes, besides that one.
I mean, in a beautiful, perfect day, I'm like planning events and
Wait,
trying to.
I
Like,
didn't say in a beautiful perfect
every
day.
day, no.
Just like on a
Well,
normal,
day,
everyday
normal day.
craziness.
Well, meaning like I mean, because a lot of it's like payroll. You got to do the normal stuff. I mean, like,
That I want to know the normal stuff.
The normal
all of the stuff.
I mean, trying to figure out how to do payroll, and then Sienna's yelling at me, and then
Sienna's her
Sophia
daughter.
Sophia wants a snack, and then Tanner's chewing on toilet paper, and I'm trying to do payroll.
That's her dog, not her son.
Yeah, sorry. I love the backstory. Reading through it, what my insurance looks like right now, or I don't know. It was just like, I feel like Friday or Thursday, I was like, okay, a shift needs to happen. And I'm like looking through like my task of like, do I have business interruption insurance, all this kind of stuff, you know, what's covered, reading about the coronavirus, what are other studios doing? And then Sophia's out of school, so she's there, and she, you know, everyone needs a snack. Tanner, my dog, is chewing on toilet paper. It was just like, take a deep breath. But yes, I mean, usually I would say like I love planning all the events and like gathering everyone together and like creating community events. And
I know
now
some
a
of
lot
your
of-
tasks include scheduling teachers,
yes,
texting with people nonstop to make sure all of the classes are covered,
yes,
training
training teachers right now.
teaching classes, planning classes, setting up playlists, navigating Wi-Fi situations.
Yes,
All,
I do have a
Payroll.
Good, I do, yeah.
she
But I
doesn't
have
do it
I
all
have
on
an
her
awesome
own.
team, yeah.
Absolutely, she has an
I mean,
awesome
look at all
team,
those group texts that we're on, you know.
and you do have an awesome team.
Yeah.
And you are the overseer to make sure that the ship
Yes.
keeps running on all of
Yeah.
those fronts.
Yeah.
So those would be kind of your normal tasks, right?
Yes, yes, on a given day.
On a
yes.
given day. Would you consider those tasks sacred?
I don't use that word. So for me, I mean, I love and I'm so passionate what I do.
Or
and
how
maybe
about
that's sacred to
spiritual?
me,
Would
like,
you consider those tasks a spiritual practice?
I mean, I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I never think of like in a negative way. I'm like, it's like I get to do this. Like it's all like I get to work from home and I get to have the job flexibility and I get to like live, you know. Yeah, I mean, I'm so passionate about what I get to do. So it's never like I have to.
Totally.
Like it's an I get to.
And I love that. And that
But I don't know if I would
definitely
use the
comes
word
through.
sacred personally, but
Right. Sacred
Or having a deeper value than the task. I think sometimes too that we have language that tends to block. Oftentimes within the church we use eternal value, or does it have a value in heaven, right? Or is it spiritual, or is it sacred? But oftentimes we're walking in a place where we go, I get to do what I do because I see that it has a deeper value
sure.
than just the task.
the task itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you see the end like is like to serve the community. So like all like what's going on
Right.
right now, like we've got to like it's been really busy for us, you know, because we have to like shift gears. I got to like
Very quickly.
cleaning and like everyone's asking me what is in your cleaning, you know, what ingredients are in your cleaning supplies.
You don't know
and
that by heart?
I'm like we don't like yeah, right. So it's like it's just been a different amount of like different tasks involved in the last 48 hours. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how do we best serve the community? And the end goal being like, okay, I know people need this like time for themselves, especially when you're with your, you know, I love my kids, but like I want to continue to be this place of like, you know, a place where people can gain, you know, strength and clarity and like relieve stress.
Absolutely.
And that's like the end goal when I'm seeing all these tasks, I guess, right now. Like I'm like on my to-do list and my note section, I'm constantly talking on my phone, giving my to-do list, but it's like that's what the end goal being like, you know, I need to continue to be that place for people, but without the,
Physical
virtually
connection.
Yeah.
And here's what I love. And I think like the connecting the pieces for people that are watching. Wait, before we connect the pieces, is there anything we need to respond to, Cody?
Not yet. No.
We're good.
We've got people watching, but we don't have
You're not.
questions or comments.
Okay. Comment, people. Let us know you care. Otherwise,
Oh, wait, we got
Ask
one from
Dawn
Drew.
we
questions.
have one from Drew.
I'm gonna say it back because people can't hear me.
Okay.
Watching from the bedroom, have my yoga mats ready, waiting for the lesson.
Drew says, not my Drew. Drew, which Drew?
Drew Meyer.
Drew
Oh,
Meyer.
I was like, wow,
Hello,
he's
Drew
going to work out
Meyer.
with us?
we have
Meyer
we have
family.
3 Drews in our community, which is kind of
There's a lot of Drews going on.
awesome and annoying. Okay, so Drew Meyer says that he's watching from the bedroom. He has his yoga mats ready, and you are wearing your avocado pants. So
I went hiking in these.
he's ready to align the chakras. Thank you, Drew. We'll keep you posted. Maybe we'll do a little
Totally.
bit of that in a bit.
I know. We should do
We
yeah,
should.
have that.
Okay, so to connect the pieces, I want to say that it is so clear that you are like living into this bigger calling. Like
Mhm.
you get to do things that you were made to do, right? And certainly parts of what you do are a have to in some senses, right? Like they stretch you. They're not your area of giftedness per se. But it's so clear that you were created to do this, right? And you don't hate it.
No. I really do appreciate it. Like, I love
Which is kind of like this revelation, right? That you can do something that has deep and lasting meaning in our community, in people's lives, in this world. And I would even say like God looks at that and is like, yes, like you are doing what I made you to do. And you love it,
Mhm.
which is kind of this mental shift for people that grew up in the church, because here's this crazy thought. What if when you're actually living into like this sacred calling of doing whatever it is that you were created to do, whether that's being a stay-at-home parent or managing a large business or running a fitness studio or being a writer,
Real estate
Or-
software.
creating real estate software, Drew, or being a grandparent, right? You maybe, probably, if you love it and feel really lit up by what you're doing, are actually living into what God created you to do. And it has nothing with going to the church or reading a Bible or being in a Bible study or knowing the books of the Bible or going to be a missionary to tell people about the Bible. Like, you are actually just doing it and you love it. And why do we have this thought that the God of the universe would have such a small delineation of jobs that matter that most of us would probably hate doing them?
So good. That the creator of the universe actually breathed into humanity a giftedness and a uniqueness to not make them uniform and conform
Yes.
to this, but to release them and see them in all the variety that they're made. Right.
Yeah.
That, I think that is the true gospel of following God. And I knew this was going to get to a Dallas Willard thing because I know we've read a lot of Dallas Willard in our days. And Dallas Willard he's passed away, but he was head of philosophy at USC. Also just an amazing, prolific Christian author who's just so wise. And what he talked about is when we live into who God made us to be, our passions and our skills, that's the intersection that we were made to live into in this world,
Mhm.
where our passions and our skills collide. And if we get to work in that sweet space
Mhm.
where we deeply believe in what we're doing because it has
Mhm.
deep value, right? Eternal value,
Mhm.
whatever we would call it. And yet it also is aligned with our skilled giftedness. Like
Mhm.
we're good at it and people tell us we're good at it, even if we don't feel like we're good at it.
Not just your mom tells you you're
Right,
good at it,
totally. But other
somebody
people-
besides your mom.
Other people are actually benefited by what you do because you're good at that, right?
Yeah.
That is where we're made to be.
Yeah.
And it is so different for everyone out there.
Yeah. You hear the
And
term
that-
flow.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Like
You're living in your
yeah.
flow.
And it like time doesn't matter. Like you
Mhm.
never like you have no concept of time when you're working in it. You know?
Yeah.
But you're in flow.
Absolutely.
And I think in that flow, we may hear the whisper or we haven't heard it yet where God is going, I made you for this. I made you for this because it's bringing a positive benefit to not only yourself, like you're growing in it, but it's also benefiting the world around you.
Mhm.
And that is a good
Yeah.
place to be in. And that is spiritual.
And I think of like my husband Drew, he works with a senior population who most live in mobile homes, manufactured homes, I think is the correct term for them. And most of them are very lonely. Like he might be the only actual person that they see in a day. And so it would be easy for him to think of his job. He does a lot of like HVAC and like home repairs. It would be easy for him to see his job as something that he just checks the box, like
A transaction.
a transaction. I did what I came here to do. But he has a bigger
Relationships
view,
with them.
right? And so he, told me recently of a World War II vet that invited him in and wanted to show him all of his World War II memorabilia and how he took the time to go in and like just hear this guy's stories, and like that is doing a job and finding deeper meaning, right?
Totally.
Because some of us maybe find ourselves in a job that we don't like it. Maybe we
Totally.
maybe we're doing it for the paycheck, and that is valid, trust me. But there is still meaning that can be found in those places.
And perhaps there's a mind tweak that you can change your perspective and put on a different pair of glasses in what you do to see it as deeply spiritual, sacred, or valuable. There's a funny quote by Henry Ford who said, I always get the whole person when all I want is available hands. And what he was disenchanted by in that is with the assembly line thinking of efficiency in the workplace to produce cars, to produce anything. They were focusing on the widgets and the products, but every time he wanted to focus on the work, he realized he got the full human. Though that may have been discouraging to him in the context of that quote, what he was realizing is that every interaction is never just about efficiency and transaction, but that in everything we do when we're connecting with another human, there is a holistic connection there. And perhaps the glasses that we can put on to realize that everything we do is deeply spiritual, that whatever you do with your hands, you can work at it with all of your heart to even please the God of the universe, is to see that when we connect with another human, that is a spiritual place.
Yep.
And that is a sacred place. And the other day in Vaughn's, like 3 days ago, and I didn't want to be the guy buying toilet paper, but I had like legitimately
Some
had to.
normal people just don't have toilet paper, guys.
I was telling my wife, Rachel, I'm like, I don't even want to buy that because I'm going to feel like I'm part of the frenzy and encouraging the frenzy. But anyways, had to buy it. Found it.
Definitely had to self-disclose to the checker at Target the other day.
So that's what I did.
I was like, I just need
not-
toilet paper.
Totally. That's what I was like for a lot of money. But but what I did is when I looked at the checker, and like we know that everyone in that space right now, they're having horrible days because they're
Totally.
dealing with the worst part of humanity.
Yeah.
I just looked at her, I'm like, how are you doing? And it was like a pause and a breath.
Yeah.
And then she told me stories that she interacted with during the day. And I feel like I want to apologize on behalf of humanity, what you're doing. And I just want to thank you for what you're doing. And perhaps if we all got to go into our communities this next week and realize that every interaction with another human, whether it be our crazy kids running around for 3 weeks,
right.
or the checker at Vaughn's, or the
Mhm.
server at a restaurant that they're at half capacity and they're needing your business.
That's right.
We check in with their heart and we go, how are you doing? And how can I be an encouragement for you?
Yeah. And it makes me think of this quote and it comes from a teaching from our dear friends at the Table Network, from the Great Commission. And if you are from the church, the Great Commission is to go out into all the world and make disciples of Jesus. And I forget the rest. Baptizing them in the name of the Father. So thank you. I do read the Bible from time to time.
Yeah. No, sometimes you do.
Sometimes.
Maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
I got the first part. Don't judge me. It's been a long week. And a lot of times we think like we associate that with the work of pastors or the work of missionaries, like go and do this work of creating disciples. And in fact, as our friends from the Table Network pointed out, we've actually mistranslated that a lot of the times. And instead, it should read, as you are going, right? Like, as you are living your life, disciple people, right? Which is kind of just like, be this Jesus presence to them, be this God presence to them. It's not about like, hi, Stephanie, can I sit you down and like run you through a track of how you can like become this disciple of Jesus? It's like, as we are going throughout our day, how can we check in with people? As we are going, how can we see that what we are doing has value? As we are going, how can we just be the presence of God, the Creator, in their chaotic or mundane lives?
As you are going, how can you live out where Jesus talked about what is the greatest commandment? What is the single common denominator of all of what Scripture says? And it's to love God, to love others. So as you are going, how can you be a force of love? And if we lived into that, and as we're looking at the great release right now, of people to be at home, to be with their families, the great release of the church to not gather, but to be out, perhaps the living out of that, the living out of love is now more released and more free than it has been. And people need it.
That's right. So we're going to close because we've almost been talking for an hour.
Oh, wow. That was fast.
That went fast.
That was fast. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. You're awesome.
Cody has a comment he wants to check in with.
It's actually a great comment to close with, given the situation that we're in.
Hey, Cody, can I hand you my microphone so we get your voice on it? Go.
So this is a comment from Glenn Yoshitaki. How you doing, Glenn?
Oh, hey, Glenn.
I love you. So he says, as a healthcare provider, I am blessed with opportunities to connect with my patients in their physical care, but also in their spiritual faith care. Please say prayers for your healthcare providers as we continue to work under uncertain conditions. So that's like I think that's a great, thank you for sharing that. It'll be great to, as we close and say a prayer, maybe include that in there.
And I also want to close in saying we want to release you, the people, to own conversations about spirituality. There is nobody that is more qualified or less qualified or disqualified from engaging in a spiritual conversation with a checker, with your children, with your neighbor or your friend. We want to empower you to just dive in. And here's the thing. You don't have to have all the answers. I just forgot half of a Bible verse on a live stream. It's fine.
It's not an important verse, Don.
It's okay.
The Great Commission.
It's fine, everybody. You don't have to have all the answers. Like, you can say, you know what? I don't know. Or we should look into that together. Or, wow, that's a great question, right? You don't have to feel like you're going to be proven wrong. It's just dive in, engage, start the question, start the conversation, ask the questions. We want to empower you to do that with your family, your friends, your neighbors, strangers, whatever.
Can I say one more thing?
No.
I know we got.
No, I'm just kidding.
No one is asking us to shut down right now. By the way, it was amazing. But Glenn, you just made me think of this, and all of our healthcare workers out there. These are also some Jesus words that say there is no greater love than this, is that we lay down our life for another. In this time, especially with healthcare workers, every time you care for someone, you are essentially laying down your life, your concerns for your own health in order to take care of someone else. And I thank you for that. And I want to tell you that that is deeply spiritual. That is deeply godly. However, for everyone else that may feel like, oh, that makes sense for healthcare workers, but what about me? I would encourage you that every interaction you have with another human right now, whether they are 6 feet far away from you or less, you have an opportunity to lay down your life for another. And there is no greater expression of love than that. And it may just even be the pause to say, how are you doing?
Mhm.
Be like Anthony Idol and knock on the door and say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Or like Stephanie, to create a space in the week where people can get some feelings of normality, connection, health, and to be sparked once again to live their best life after that time with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is deeply godly too.
And if you want to connect with Stephanie on social media, it's Forward Fitness. All one word is the Instagram handle. You can find her on Facebook, Forward Fitness, 2 words. Yeah, check her out. Any closing thoughts you want to say?
Just forward FWRD.
Yes,
spelled.
that's right. FWRD.
But it's kind of like a secret that we're working on an online virtual program for everyone. It'll be
To take
offered to the
advantage
community.
of during this time.
So it'll be,
Awesome. And it might possibly include some kid workouts as well.
yes, I do. I have been recruiting my kids.
Hooray.
Today I haven't done.
That's okay.
Okay.
I think we're still recording over
Oh,
here.
okay.
That one. All right.
Yeah, some kid workouts. Maybe have some
Instagram
workouts, too.
died on us. I think we went too long.
Over our hour.
Yep.
We're
All right.
still on in that
Okay.
camera though. So
But yeah, some kid workouts too, and just trying to make it relatable. I'm like, so it'll be in my house, my kitchen, with the chaos around me.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be in it with you guys, with everyone. So we're all in it together.
we're
Awesome.
all in it together.
I'll try
Thank
not, I'm
you.
trying not to sing right now really, really hard for you High School Musical
Wait, what are you
fans out
gonna
there.
sing?
It's a High School Musical song. We've been
Go,
watching a lot of
Dawn.
We're all in this together. That's all I got. I forgot the rest. It is a song.
Thank you.
I can't
That
help
was
myself.
awesome. I think that's living us into our unscriptedness.
Yeah. And clearly my giftedness. I know a song for everything.
This is true.
Little known fact about me.
Thank you.
It's loud.
That's a lot of noise, Cody. Thank you, friends, for joining us. We're going to absolutely be doing more of this. We need to be doing more of this over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And we
Let
want
us know what you would like to see.
Absolutely.
What kind of videos or thoughts do you want to see from us? We'd be happy to oblige.
We also want to hear more of your stories about what you're doing to live out life during this time. We will be praying for all of those that are sick. We don't want to devalue this time of fear and anxiety because there is reason for it, but we also want to be a positive force of installing faith, hope, and love to our community during this time. So thank you again for joining us.
Yeah. And not only those who are sick, but those of you who are having like a lot of anxiety around this time, like we want to be here for you too. Let us know how we can help. And maybe that's just reaching out to say, hey, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I'm having a hard time, one of the hardest and most helpful things is to reach out and say, I'm having a hard time. So if that's you, feel free to do it. We want to be here, even if it's from afar. So thank you guys. Have a great night. And here we go into this Corona adventure together. Peace.
Peace. Cody, you have to tell